Kathy walks through the door just after dusk, her arms cradling a massive bouquet of deep red roses that seem to consume her delicate frame. She's beaming, the kind of smile that's reserved for moments of genuine joy or profound secrets. As she nears, the scent of the roses fills the room, a perfume that speaks of love, but tonight, it whispers of deceit. "For you, my love," she whispers, her voice a melody that once lulled me into safety and trust. She extends the bouquet to me, her eyes glinting with an emotion I can't quite decipher. As I reach out to accept the gift, one particular rose catches my eye. It's at the edge of the bouquet, slightly isolated from the rest, its petals wrinkled and its stem almost crushed. Curiosity nudges me, and gently, I extract it from the bunch. Kathy watches, her smile faltering just a touch, perhaps nervous, perhaps knowing. I hold the rose carefully, and as I peel back the crushed petals, a tiny piece of paper, pinned meticulously at the heart of the bud, comes into view. The note is simple, scrawled in a hasty, familiar hand: "Love you, meet me at the fountain at 6. No name, no further clues, but the handwriting, a looping, slightly slanted script, belongs unmistakably to Greg, a colleague from work. A cold wash of shock douses the warmth that the roses brought. My hands tremble, not from the weight of the rose, but from the weight of betrayal. I look up at Kathy, searching her face for any sign of guilt or regret, but she's watching me, puzzled by my silence. "Who gave you these?" My voice is calm, quieter than I intend, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. "Just someone from the office. They were handing them out today, you know, as a kind of appreciation thing," she replies, her voice too casual, her gaze shifting away from mine. "Kathy, this note was in the bouquet," I say, holding up the crumpled paper between my fingers. "It's from Greg." Her face pales, the truth hitting her as hard as it's hitting me. "I can explain," she starts, but the lies hang in the air, too thin to hold any weight. "No, save it." "I know enough," I interrupt. The room feels smaller, the air thicker. I can see the realization dawning on her that I've uncovered her secret. The next few days are a blur of cold silences and blazing arguments. My heart, once full of love, now harbors a chilling resolve. Betrayal, I learn, is a poison that seeps into every crevice of your life, rotting it from the inside out. I decide not only to confront Greg, but to ensure that everyone knows the kind of deceit they both harbor. A few discreet conversations, some emails sent from anonymous accounts, and their reputations begin to crumble. Kathy's facade of the perfect wife, the loyal partner, shatters publicly. When the divorce papers land on her desk, her tear-streaked face doesn't evoke the sympathy it once might have. The process is swift, fueled by her guilt and my unyielding anger. The settlement leaves her with little, just as her affair left me with nothing but a hollow chest. In the end, Kathy moves out, her life broken by the same hands that once promised to protect and cherish her. As for me, I stay in our now too quiet house, surrounded by the ghostly scent of roses that no longer bloom. We never see each other again, and with each passing day, the space where love once lived grows colder, a garden where nothing grows. The city square buzzes with the usual late afternoon crowd as I make my way towards the fountain, the agreed meeting spot from the note. My steps are measured, my mind racing. I feel the eyes of the city on me, though they pay no heed to my turmoil. As I approach, I spot Greg, casually leaning against the fountain's edge, a phone to his ear, laughing at something on the other end of the line. The sight of him, so carefree, ignites a fire in my chest. I stride up to him, the noise of the square muffling my approach. He doesn't notice me until I'm just a foot away. His smile fades as soon as he sees the anger etched across my face. "Need something?" he asks, his tone cautious, the phone still clutched in his hand. "We need to talk," I say through gritted teeth, glancing pointedly at the phone. He hesitates for a moment, then nods, ending his call. We move to a quieter spot by the side of the fountain, away from the prying eyes of the busy crowd. "What's this about?" Greg asks, his eyes narrowing. "It's about Kathy." "About the roses and the note," I reply, thrusting the crumpled piece of paper at him. His face goes white as he reads the few scribbled words. "Look, it's not what you think," he starts, but I cut him off. Don't insult me, Greg. I know exactly what it is. My voice is calm, but it carries a sharpness that makes a nearby couple glance our way. Greg sighs, rubbing the back of his neck nervously. It was a mistake, man. It just happened, I didn't mean for it to go this far. Mistakes like this don't just happen, I snap back. You knew she was my wife. He doesn't respond, just looks down, shamed. The silence between us stretches, punctuated only by the sound of water splashing in the fountain. Did she love you? I finally ask, my voice hollow. Greg shakes his head slowly. It was never about that. It was just? I don't know. Fun, I guess. Fun? I echo, the word bitter in my mouth. There's a long pause before I speak again, my plan crystallizing in my mind. You're going to help me. Greg looks up, confusion written all over his face. Help you? With what? With my revenge, I state plainly. You owe me. And if you don't help, I'll make sure this goes even worse for you. He studies me for a moment, weighing his options. Finally, he nods. Okay, what do you need me to do? I explain my plan in low tones, detailing each step of how we're going to expose the affair to everyone at the office, ensuring Kathy and Greg's mutual professional destruction. Greg listens, a resigned look on his face. He agrees to every point, knowing he has little choice but to comply. As we part ways, the evening light casting long shadows across the square, I feel a cold satisfaction settle in my gut. The first phase of my plan is set in motion, and while the pain of betrayal still lingers, the promise of retribution offers a sharp, if fleeting, comfort. The early morning sun casts long shadows across the office as I step in, the murmur of the start of another day buzzing around me. Today is different, though. Today, the office is the stage, and the play is one of revelation and ruin. I spot Greg at his desk, his eyes meeting mine with a mix of resignation and dread. He nods subtly, confirming he's ready to play his part in our plotted drama. I walk past, my heart pounding, not from nervousness but a fierce, driving purpose. As the clock edges toward the mid-morning break, I begin my carefully orchestrated maneuver. I head to the break room, where I know Kathy usually spends her coffee break. Today, I have ensured our co-workers are already buzzing about a sudden, urgent meeting called by Greg regarding a personal matter affecting team dynamics. Kathy is there, laughing softly at something on her phone. Seeing me, her smile fades slightly, the air between us thick with unspoken words. Morning, I say, keeping my voice neutral. She nods, her eyes cautious. Morning. You seem different today. Just thinking about some changes, I reply cryptically. Before she can respond, Greg enters, his face somber. He glances at me, then at Kathy, and speaks loudly enough for everyone around to hear. Can everyone please head to the conference room? I need to discuss something important. The room stirs with curiosity as people start to gather their things. Kathy looks puzzled but follows the stream of co-workers. I trail behind, every step firm with the weight of impending justice. In the conference room, Greg stands at the head of the table, his hands slightly trembling. The room quiets down, everyone's eyes on him. He clears his throat, and then, with a glance at me, he begins. I've called this meeting because I believe transparency is crucial, especially when personal actions affect our professional environment. He pauses, his eyes flicking to Kathy then back to the room. I've made a severe mistake, one that involves a member of this team, Kathy. The room erupts in murmurs, I swinging between Kathy and Greg. Kathy's face turns pale, her eyes widening in shock and fear. Greg continues, his voice steady, I regret to admit that Kathy and I have been involved in an inappropriate relationship. I know this revelation hurts the team, and I am truly sorry. Kathy stands up, her voice trembling. Greg, what are you doing? Doing what's right, he responds, his eyes now on the floor. I stand, feeling every eye in the room on me. Thank you for your honesty, Greg. Turning to the rest of the room, I add, this isn't just about a personal mistake. It's about trust. How can we trust leaders who hide the truth for their personal gain? The room is heavy with tension and unspoken judgments. Kathy rushes out, her exit swift and ungraceful, her sobs echoing faintly back into the room. As the murmurs grow, I sit back down, my part played, my chest tight with a bitter victory. This exposure is just the beginning. The office will buzz, the industry will hear, and Kathy's professional life, like our marriage, will crumble under the weight of her choices. I turn to look at Greg, who sits deflated, his role as a conspirator against his will now concluded. Our eyes meet, and there's a silent acknowledgement of the destruction we've willed into reality. The seeds of betrayal Kathy sowed have grown into a forest of ruin, and as I leave the room, following her path out, I realize that this revenge, however justified, doesn't bring back the trust we lost. It only spreads the poison, making sure it touches everyone involved, myself included. The office has become a ghost town in the aftermath. Whispers and sidelong glances follow me as I navigate the corridors, the weight of my actions heavier with each step. Greg has been put on indefinite leave, and Kathy. I haven't seen her since she fled the meeting room. The isolation is palpable, a stark contrast to the unity that once defined our team. As I sit in my office, staring at the paperwork that no longer seems important, my phone buzzes. It's an unknown number, but I answer it, driven by a vague hope of distraction from my spiraling thoughts. Meet me at the old warehouse on 22nd Street. You know the one. Tonight. Alone. The voice is distorted, but its message is clear. It's a risk, a possibly dangerous one, but my life has already descended into chaos. What's one more gamble? As night falls, the warehouse looms up like a spectre from the dark alleys of the city. The building is dilapidated, the air thick with the smell of mold and decay. I push open the heavy metal door, its creak echoing through the empty space. Inside, the shadows stretch and twist, playing tricks on my eyes. A figure steps out from the darkness, Kathy. She looks different, hardened, her eyes hollow with anger and sorrow. You ruined everything, she hisses, her voice a venomous whisper. You started this, not me. You betrayed me. I retort, my voice rising in anger. This wasn't just about us, she snaps back. Greg and I, we were planning to leave the company, start something new. It was business, not just an affair. Her revelation strikes me like a physical blow. It wasn't merely betrayal, it was a calculated move against me to weaken my standing before they broke away. And you used me as a stepping stone, I reply, cold understanding settling in my gut. All those late nights you said were for our future, they were for this? Kathy steps closer, her face inches from mine. I loved you once, but I needed more than what you could offer. I made a choice. So did I say, stepping back into the shadows. Suddenly, the lights flicker on, and several figures emerge around us. Lawyers, private investigators, and a few faces from a corporate espionage firm I had hired after the initial discovery. Kathy looks around, trapped and realizing too late the extent of my revenge. You may have planned to start over, but you'll do it with nothing, I state flatly as the lawyers begin to explain the consequences of her actions, lawsuits, criminal charges for corporate espionage, and more. As the reality of her complete and utter defeat sinks in, Kathy collapses, her cries echoing off the walls of the warehouse. The sight of her despair doesn't bring satisfaction. Instead, a hollow victory takes its place, the cost of this revenge staining my soul. I loved you, I whisper, more to myself than to her, before turning to leave. Behind me, the sounds of Kathy's pleading blend with the stern voices of legal retribution. I walk out into the chilly night, the broken remnants of our lives confined to the echoing sobs I leave behind. The city stretches out before me, its lights flickering like distant stars. As I walk away, the part of me that still remembered the good times we shared, the love we once nurtured, feels as derelict and abandoned as the warehouse. Our paths would never cross again. In our pursuit of what we thought we wanted, we had destroyed everything we once valued. The betrayal, once a sharp sting, had morphed into a ceaseless ache, a reminder of the cost of trust broken and revenge fulfilled. The tragedy of our story was not just the end of our marriage, but the loss of who we had been. The echoes of our downfall would linger, a somber melody to the ruthless revenge that had claimed more than just the guilty.